all of us at some point or the other want to become our own bosses. We want to set up our own enterprise, become entrepreneurs, and that's how we want to become successful in our life. And which is very good also, because for any growing economy, you need some great entrepreneurs who can set up their companies, successful companies, and who can give jobs to people. Because you can't just be dependent on the government or large companies to give jobs. There should be people who should be starting their own enterprise and giving jobs to people. So that's why this whole activity that we are seeing in our country towards entrepreneurship, towards startups is extremely good. But what people forget is that the journey towards entrepreneurship is not easy. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of ups and downs. And I have personally seen that myself. Being a serial entrepreneur, I have set up multiple companies, have seen successes, failures. I have been a part of a lot of startup networks, have mentored a lot of startups, and also I have invested in various startups. So that's why I have got a fair idea of how this whole startup ecosystem works, how this whole process of entrepreneurship works. And that is why I decided to create this masterclass around entrepreneurship. This masterclass would be in two parts. In the first part, I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship for freshers, and in the second part, I would talk about entrepreneurship for experienced professionals, because the approach that both of them should take should ideally be different. Their challenges are different, and that's the reason I decided to do this masterclass in two parts. So watch both the parts and get benefited by them. Hi, my name is Anjani B. Kumar and welcome to my channel. So let's start this whole conversation around entrepreneurship. So first, let's talk about freshers, because these days there are a lot of freshers who are coming out of various colleges and they have a desire to set up their own venture, to create their own startups, to get onto the path of entrepreneurship, and which is extremely good, as I said earlier also. And the good part is that these freshers have a lot of brilliant ideas in their minds. So every second person I talk to these days, they have some sort of idea about a product, about a service, and which is amazing. The second thing is that they don't have liabilities in the initial period of their career. So that's why it's actually very good for them to try out something. And the thirdly, they don't have pressure from their family to start earning straight away. Their parents are okay giving them a year, 2, 3 to do something of their own. So that's why this whole fresher ecosystem around entrepreneurship, around startups is thriving in our country. And there are a lot of support networks also. So many colleges, many institutes, they have set up their own incubation cells. They provide some monetary support also. And that's why the freshers are able to work on their ideas, work on the products which they have in their mind, and try to start a company of their own. So that is what is happening currently in our country. So if you look at all the IITs, some of the big NITs, IIMs, and other colleges also, they all are promoting entrepreneurship, and which is extremely good. It is required for our company, and that's where all the freshers are experimenting with their thoughts, with their ideas. So that's how the whole process is currently working. Now in this whole conversation, I want to talk about three things. One, the idea first, what people have, and how that needs to be worked towards. The second is the money part, how one can look at the money aspect of it. And third is building the organization, people and other support systems. So that's how I want to make this whole conversation meaningful and structure it in a manner where you can understand it better, how it can work for you, how you can get onto the path of entrepreneurship where you get ultimately success in your life. Now, when we are having this conversation, we also need to understand that in reality, while we hear about some of those successful ventures, some of the successful startups, but we also have to remember that we don't get to hear about all the failures. And the reality is that only 1 or 2% of the startups succeed. So that's why this journey towards entrepreneurship is extremely tough, because the success rate is very low. And you have to keep that in mind, because what happens is that when you are getting onto the path of entrepreneurship, you are very excited. And especially if you are young, you are just out of the college or you are in the final year, you have all the positive energy and you believe that what you have in mind would succeed. But it's always a good idea to keep this in mind that the success rate in this field is very low. And that's why you should take steps in a manner where you can mitigate some of these challenges which you will face at a later stage. Now, moving to the first point, the idea itself. Now, what happens is that obviously we live in an ecosystem where we go through a lot of experiences, and based on those experiences, some of these ideas come into our mind. So that's how freshers also get their ideas. And the whole thought behind this is that these ideas must be solving a problem, because that is the first thing you will hear people telling you, that you should only pick up ideas which should solve a problem which somebody else is facing, because then only you will have a market for that idea. Now, the challenge what I have seen people facing here, and especially when I mentor them, when I coach them, is when you have an idea of your own and you get so excited by that sometimes your ability to judge the rightness of the idea gets clouded, because you are extremely excited. You feel that this is something which can change the world. But in reality, if that idea has that power or not, that you have to figure out. And that decision, unfortunately, would not be yours. That decision has to be of the final consumer. So the final check has to happen at consumer's level, not your level. So this is one thing which I see a lot of people missing out. Because if you have an idea, obviously you have to convert it into a prototype. You have to do a basic market test, and then accordingly, based on the feedback, you have to figure out whether it is worthwhile to pursue that idea or not. Because unfortunately, people who get clouded in their judgment at this stage, they face a lot of problems later on when they have to either raise money and grow their company. That is the time, these things don't work out. So that's why it's extremely important to be objective about the possibility of your idea turning into a business proposition. This objectivity is extremely important, and sadly, this decision, as I said, is not yours. So what also happens is that if you are regularly visiting people who are going to put money on your venture, either these are angel investors or VCs, Ps. Now their objective is first to say no, first to look at the idea critically and say this is not going to work. That is most of the time that is the reaction that you will see. So then that also is an extreme side of it. And then if you have people who are more your supporters, your family members, your friends network, there you will get the positive feedback. So that's the other extreme. So that's why it's extremely difficult to remain objective at this stage. And that is the reason I'm raising this point here. And you need to be extremely critical in this analysis. Don't go towards people who are extremely supportive, positive, and even don't believe some of those people who have this job of critically questioning every idea. That is their job because they're putting their money onto it. So that's why you have to take a balanced view in understanding your idea and trying to see that can a business proposition come out of that idea. So that's where this whole analysis is extremely important. Don't get swayed by all the excitement that you have a great idea which can change the world. And I have seen that there are many people and who have some great ideas also, but unfortunately those ideas cannot be converted into a business in itself. There is nobody who is going to put money onto that, and that's the reason those ideas die. So unless you are going to support this venture with your own money, and that is also a very risky proposition, I would not suggest that one should get too excited by an idea itself. You have to first work very carefully, very cautiously in the initial stage. See that how that idea is turning into a prototype, and is that prototype acceptable in the real market. And when you start seeing acceptability, when somebody has started paying you for that idea, that is the time to really get excited, not in the beginning itself. So this is how you should look at this first stage. Let's come to the second stage. Let's talk about the money part. Now what happens is that when you initially start as a fresher, obviously small monies can come in from your college network, from your incubation cell, from some of the startup networks, so that you can turn your idea into a prototype. You can actually test market it. So that kind of money is normally available. It's a very small money, but at least you can go ahead and do some experiments at the first level. Now, once you have actually crossed the first stage and you have started testing your idea into a real business proposition, that is the time you start needing more money, because then you have to actually spend money in product development or setting up a service network, whatever your idea is. And also in terms of developing markets, some of the marketing money, some of the noise that you need to create around it. And that's where you have to start looking at people who can fund it. Now, it is always advisable that you should look at the minimum amount of money at that stage. And sometimes I've seen that people make a mistake of diluting too much of equity at that stage itself. Because then what happens is that if the idea is yours, and if somebody else has invested money and really taken a lot of equity, then slowly you lose interest in that whole proposition. So till the time you actually have built a business around the idea, you must have a sufficient ownership of the company that you have formed. That's the way to remain excited about the idea. Because money is extremely critical. Without money, you cannot grow a business. In the whole journey of entrepreneurship, you will need money at various stages. But you have to also start seeing that at what cost the money is coming. And that's where I've seen that people get desperate, they surrender a lot of equity, or they finally, they're too cagey about even surrendering equity and they take the other side of the position. And finally, they are not able to move ahead. So this is an area also where a very delicate balance is required. And I very strongly suggest all the entrepreneurs, all the youngsters, that try to see that at least till the time you build a business proposition, see that your business proposition, the idea itself should at least start paying you back something. You are able to get some customers at least who are able to start paying you. It's not a good idea to just keep becoming a loss leader over a period of time and thinking that in the long run you will become profitable. Yes, there are few models like Amazon or Zomato, which are there in front of you, and I've seen a lot of people getting excited by that, saying that they never made money in the initial years, they kept losing. But those are just one-off cases. It does not happen regularly. I have seen a lot of people who went with this thought actually finally had to close down their companies because nobody was willing to fund them. People fund businesses where they see a potential of earning money. Yes, there is this game of valuation through which definitely people earn money, but that happens in rare cases. And you should never try to target something which is an exception. You should always look at things which are general rule. So that's why at this first stage itself, go to the level of establishing the business proposition, go to the market where consumers at least start paying you something. Look at the example of White Hat Junior, how it got created. In the beginning itself, the whole idea was that there should be people who should be paying for this. And then only they went to investors and raised further money and finally sold the company. So there are enough examples on both the sides, but you have to pick the right example which is relevant and which is generally the rule, not the exception. And the third aspect is the org building, the people process, right? So that's where again, it's extremely important to understand that how an organization gets built, how you can get the right people to work for you. Because you yourself are a fresher. Your ability to attract talent is very limited. You can only attract talent either by paying money or getting somebody excited by the power of your idea. So that's where initially you will face a lot of challenges in building your team, in getting the right people. And you have to primarily rely on your network, your friends, your colleagues, your batchmates. These are the kind of people who will finally come on board, because there is absolutely no merit in hiring cheap resources from the market by compromising on quality. That is something which I never advise. So I always advise the freshers to be careful in terms of picking their first team, because that's the most important team that you will have. Basis that team only your organization will get built. So that's why you have to have the power of getting those 15, 20, 30 people who either are your friends, your batchmates, or a part of family, whichever, from wherever you can get them. But these are the people who are very important at the first stage of growth of the organization, and you need to be extremely careful in choosing them. As I said, don't compromise on the quality. Don't just have people for the sake of having them. Just that you need 10 people, it doesn't mean that you should just hire any of those 10 people. Though extremely important to hire the right people at the initial stage, because that's the stage where you are building the organization, you are building the business, and ultimately then you will start realizing that your next phase of growth would also happen with the help of these people only. They will get you more people once you start becoming successful, because at least for the first couple of years, if your business has taken off, if you have got money, it will still take you time to attract talent from the market, because people would not know you. So that's why you need to have enough thought process, enough plan around building the initial team, the initial organization through your network. And that's where you can even take help from some of the consultants, some of the experienced people who probably would not come on board as employees, but would be available for you to consult, and they will tell you how to do that process. There's no harm in spending some money and taking help from them. So that's why this is the third part which you need to be extremely careful about while you are building your startup, you are getting onto your journey towards entrepreneurship. So as you have seen, these are the three very important aspects of organization building, about building the whole journey towards entrepreneurship, towards building a startup. And if you understand the basics of these three areas, chances are that you would move in the right direction. One, if you are very objective in terms of evaluating your idea and you are only getting excited about it when somebody has actually started paying for it. Secondly, you are very careful in terms of using the money and raising it at the right time by surrendering the right amount of equity. And thirdly, by getting the right people to build your organization properly. If you are taking these three steps properly, then chances are that you are eliminating some of the risks that I have seen various startups and various entrepreneurs taking and facing in the initial stages of their growth, in the initial stages of their journey. So I thought this could be a good starting tutorial, a masterclass for you if you are desirous of getting onto the journey towards entrepreneurship, or if you have already got onto the journey, and these inputs could really help you, because most of the mentoring sessions that I do are structured around these three areas. And while these three areas from outside may look extremely simple, these are extremely complex, and one need to be very careful about how to operate with respect to all the three aspects of entrepreneurship. So in the next part, I'll talk about the same three areas, but vis-a-vis experienced professionals. When they get onto the journey towards entrepreneurship, how they need to be careful about these three areas. So I hope you would have liked this video. If you have liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your family and friends. And if you have any suggestions, any comments, put them in the comment section below and I'll answer them personally. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, do consider subscribing. I keep posting such useful videos that could come in handy in your career growth, in your achieving success in career. And now I'll see you in the next video, in the second part of this video. And till then, thank you very much for watching this.